Hello, I'm the Media Whiz, because one art form wasn't enough, and... Alright, so a couple months ago I did a movie vlog on Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves, and in that video I mentioned that Joel from Mystery Science Theater 3000 was one of the writers. And ever since I posted that review, somebody mentioned to me that Bill Corbett from Mystery Science Theater 3000 wrote this movie, Meet Dave. I knew what it was. I remembered it was the Eddie Murphy movie about the robot Eddie Murphy piloted by a bunch of little people inside. So I remembered it and I thought, you know, I can make a video about this. So I sat through the movie and I decided I'm going to do this as a movie vlog, as just a way to get my initial thoughts out. Wow. Okay, so you see in the trailer, hell, if you've seen the poster for this movie, you know what it's about. Robot Eddie Murphy from space is piloted by a bunch of alien little people inside, and they're there to retrieve a rock, which is actually a device that they're going to use to drain the Earth for its ocean so that they can use the salt as a source on their planet. From there, you can predict he ends up befriending a single mom and her kid. The single mom is played by Elizabeth Banks. Needless to say, step up from movie 43. Needless to say. And the kid, who is named Josh, but I was going to say Max because that's kind of the go-to name for kids in movies, Max. Especially in 90s movies. So, yeah. I heard it was bad, but... I mean, okay, there's an Eddie Murphy, there's really bad Eddie Murphy movies out there. Eddie Murphy can be a very funny man. That goes without saying. Eddie Murphy can be very talented. But remember, this is the guy who ended up making Norbit. And his last movie, from as far as I can remember, was that 2012 movie called 1,000 Words, and I heard that was awful. And it's from the same director. The same guy that directed Meet Dave directed that. I also checked. He also directed the 2006 Shaggy Dog, which I made a video about. I think the only movie that I think is passable, his entire filmography, is Good Burger. That's like a guilty pleasure for me. So, I mean, what is there to say? Is it a cliche premise? Sure. But I think, you know, like... the first half of the movie, I was thinking, you know, there's some funny lines here and there throughout this thing, and they could make this a really funny film if they had some better writing. But, oh my god, the more as it went, like, when I got to the hour mark, because the copy I watched was like hour and a half, specifically hour and 30 minutes. And when I was sitting there watching it, by the hour mark I went, this is surprisingly bad. And it's kind of hard to describe. Like, the jokes in it are so predictable, and the ones that are really bad, just like, they kind of just stick out as being bad. Like, okay, one joke that made me just go, no, they did not just do that, was, it's near the end of the movie when, because everyone on the ship ends up getting taken over by number 2, played by Ed Helms, who's a real stick in the mud. When everyone on the ship starts adapting more to Earth culture and acting different, he ends up taking control of the ship, and he's about to, you know, drain Earth for its water supply. And before he drops the thing into the ocean, he goes, "Sorry, Earth, sometimes number 2 happens." It's like, oh my god, like, it was so painful when they did it. I was like, you know, I'd expect puns like that to be in this movie, but the fact they went ahead and did it, like, part of me, there was a little hope that they weren't going to do it, but they did it. Oh, man. Product placement, which, not as bad as Jack and Jill. That's still probably the worst product placement I've seen in a movie for this whole series. But this one was quite literally in your face. Because there's a part where Eddie Murphy's character, you know, the robot Dave, they're operating it and they're like, you know, we gotta change these clothes, you know, this white suit jacket with a black tie, it's, you know, it's not working. We gotta find more casual clothing. Slam cut, next thing you see is the interior of an Old Navy store, and a woman comes out from the side of the camera angle and just in the camera just mugs like this. She's like this. She's like, "Welcome to Old Navy!" And it's like, wow, like, it's literally in your face. And then it's made even worse by a joke that, again, could be funny, but the writing is just so... half-assed and lazy. Like the whole scene, it kind of looked like, I don't know, it looked like Impractical Jokers or something, where they just, just edits and just jump cuts of Eddie Murphy in the store going to random people and going, "Welcome to Old Navy, Old Navy, welcome to Old Navy," and I'm like, I get it. It's like they're not used to Earth customs. I get it, but like that was just bizarre. And another joke like that where it's like they're not used to Earth customs, but not really. Kinda. It's like there's a part where they're at a carnival and Eddie Murphy is they're in a hot dog contest, and Eddie Murphy, since he's a robot, he's able to wolf all the hot dogs down, and they just go to the stomach level, but they need to evacuate it because it's clogging up the system or something. And crew members are like, "Sir, we need to evacuate these large amounts of cooked beef or pork or something." And he says to Elizabeth Banks, he's like, "Excuse me, I need to evacuate my bowels." And I'm like, okay, so the joke is that he said something that people don't say. And then later, there's a part where it's like my arm. Why is my arm stiff? Like, because he's trying to throw a baseball at a carnival game, and he throws it very weakly. It's like he's like, "Who's operating the arm?" And then it shows one guy. He's like, "Sorry, I was in the bathroom." So if "I was in the bathroom" is a thing that they say, why did? It's like that's so inconsistent. It's not like I can even forgive inconsistency if it's funny, but it's not. It's like, so he said something that people don't usually say. Instead of saying "I went to the bathroom," he says, "I need to evacuate my bowels," and it sounds weird. But if "I need to go to the bathroom" is something that they say, then putting more thought into this than the writers did. There's jokes like that all throughout the movie, and it's like, and another weird thing about this movie is the editing, like, and the special effects. I'll get to that really quick, but the editing, it's edited like a sitcom. Like, it's edited like a Nickelodeon movie where it's like there'll be a scene, and in a sitcom they'll have like that transition shot where it's like outside of the house or like the city or something, and then it'll be like the next scene. Here they just kind of hard cut to the next thing that happens. It's like, I don't know, like, okay, there's a part where the kid and Eddie Murphy are in a convenience store. Two muggers come in. Eddie Murphy, since he's got robot alien strength, he grabs one of them, throws them into like a huge like stacking of like soda bottles in the background. The guy lands into them and gets hurt. And then the other guy has a gun. And Eddie Murphy breaks the gun, and then the guy runs out. And then it just hard cuts to the next thing is Eddie Murphy and the kid walking through the park talking. And it's like, okay, so those two criminals are still technically on the loose. I guess we're just done with that scene. Like, there's lots of edits like that where it's just like, oh, I guess we're done with that scene. Let's on to the next thing. It's weird. And then the special effects. Like, special effects are passable for like the first half because, like, when it's the aliens inside the robots, it's obviously like they're on a set, and you're just supposed to assume that like they're tiny people inside this giant robot. But there's one part like when they're roaming around in the city, because once number 2 gets a control over all the ship, he has Eddie Murphy and his number 3, who's the love interest for him, shoots them out the nose, and now they're stuck in New York City in like not Central Park, like the Times Square, and they're running around, and the green screen that they use, like it's so like, I don't know, it's weird looking. You're like, this was in a movie theater. It's not abysmal looking, but you're like, Hollywood movies tend to usually look better than this. Then again, this is a comedy, and I think most people like we kind of like just give comedies a pass when it comes to like mediocre effects like that. But whatever. I mean, there's really not much to say. I mean, oh, and there's one guy who like there's these cops, these bumbling like comedy duo cops. And one guy's like a conspiracy theorist, and he, like, as soon as they find, like, the crashing site where the Eddie Murphy bot landed, they think, the one guy thinks, oh, this must be an alien crash. And it turns out, oh, he was right. He was right about the aliens. And so, all right, he was right about aliens. Fine. Because he finds, oh, God, I totally forgot. I almost forgot to mention that he was in the movie. Because he finds out that he was 100% right, because Kevin Hart, who is who's one of the many little people in the robot, he ends up landing in his coffee, and he looks down and he sees him, and he basically says, like, they're going this way. This is what they're gonna do. Cops, follow them. They're gonna be going this way. And the whole time, Kevin Hart is just there to be Kevin Hart. He's there to I mean, like, I say this as someone who likes Kevin Hart. I actually, like, I'm one of the few people that actually kind of likes Kevin Hart. I know a lot of people don't think he's that funny, but I think he's passable. But he's doing his whole shtick of, man, he's the fast-talking guy. Man, he's basically doing, like, what Eddie Murphy probably did in the 90s or, like, the late 80s. That's what it feels like. Like, that is Kevin Hart's whole shtick in movies. And he does it in this movie, of course. And I just felt bad for him. And this is the third time I've mentioned him on the show. Like, we did Soul Plane, which is, I'll say this again, going back to like other movies that are bad that we've talked about before, this is still better than Soul Plane, in no question. And then earlier in the year we did a vlog on the Captain Underpants movie, and he was in that. And Ed Helms was also in that, so there you go. And now there's this. So... oh god, and okay, another guy I gotta mention. There's a character who's on the ship. There's a part where they go into, like, a place that's doing, like, live show tunes, and then as the crew becomes more and more ingrained in Earth culture, he becomes, like, this gay stereotype. Like, he dresses like one of the village people, and he even, like, his voice goes from, like, gruff person voice, worker on the ship. And then... like, when they find out, like, he's into, like, all this fashion stuff, he goes, okay, you got me, you busted me, and he turns into this, like, stereotypical gay guy, and I'm like, wow, I did not expect that. Like, it was so out of nowhere, and, like, every time he does that voice, it's just so annoying and unfunny. I was like, wow, oh, alright, like, was not expecting that to be in this movie. Oh, God. I mean, like... really, what am I supposed to say? Eventually they find out that he's a robot, piloted by a bunch of little aliens. Eddie Murphy, as the captain of the ship, he gets control again. They get rid of number 2 by... oh god, they put him in the butt of the robot. And I want to mention another joke that's predictable, but I was having a little faith that they wouldn't have done it, but they did it, was there's a guy operating the butt of the robot, and the first time you see him, it's like when they're, like, doing this zooming shot that's, like, tracking... all the people who are working on each part of the body. He's in the butt crack, and he's like, says something about, like, it's like, sir, there was a bit of a gas leak. It was silent, but it could be deadly. God, puns like this, again, it's the kind of thing I would expect to be in a movie like this, but I always try to have a little bit of faith they're not going to do it, and they always do it. So they stop number 2. They decide, we're not going to destroy, humans. You guys are good. You guys taught us about human emotion. And that's another thing about this movie that's, like, it's not just the movie, but there's, like, other science fiction stories where it's like, humans are distinct from aliens because we have emotion. Okay, I mean, they call them, basic human emotions, but I kind of assumed that, like, other creatures would have them. I don't know. All right. But they take off. And it was funny because, like, just as, like, they're about ready to fly off, the FBI then shows up, and I'm like, no, they're flying off, movie's over, no, we're not doing more. And what they do is, the FBI launches, like, a net at them, at the robot Eddie Murphy, and then his shoe comes, like, flying off, separated with, like, a little rocket propeller at the back, and they fly off, and that's how all of them escape. And then the movie ends with Bee Gees, which... I love the Bee Gees. They're great. I love their music. I think a lot of people do. Almost everybody does, but I was expecting them to play the Bee Gees during the credits, mainly because not only was Stayin' Alive in the trailer, but also there's a whole thing where Eddie Murphy robot, when Elizabeth Banks first accidentally hits him with her car, she takes him up to her apartment, and she's like, what's with your white suit? Are you dressed up for a Bee Gees concert or something? And then he, like, he literally reads off, like, a whole Wikipedia article, and then he goes, it's like, the Bee Gees made up by so-and-so, and, their most popular hits are blah, 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 blah. And also, Staying Alive, well known for its chorus, ha, 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 and he, like, goes down the whole thing of Staying Alive. and that's in the trailer too. I thought it was just gonna be a little bit, but he does like the whole course to Staying Alive, and I'm like, okay, so the Bee Gees is a thing, and again, I predicted that they were gonna end with the Bee Gees during the credits, and I was right. All in all, this movie's bad. I'm sorry, Eddie Murphy, but it's not Norbit bad or A Thousand Words bad. Will I ever do videos about those movies? Probably, because they're awful. They're debatably worse than this. No, you know what? Screw it. I've seen both of them. They're worse than this. If you guys want me to do videos on those movies in the future, let me know, because I'll be more than happy to do it. But, oh god, this movie, it sucks. The writing, it's not even like the movie has to be that bad. Like I said, there's funny parts, like, in the first half. And I'm like, if they had more jokes like that, I probably would have liked it more. But with all of the jokes that were so bad and they were like a slap to the face, it's like, that's what brings it down. That's what brings this whole movie down is, the weak jokes, mediocre special effects near the end, really bizarre editing choices, and just cliche story that they do nothing with. It's, wow. I mean, I was a little critical of the Shaggy Dog movie, but you know what? That was a little bit better than this. Like, I would rather sit through Tim Allen as a dog than sit through this again. I mean, is it one of the worst movies I've ever done? Absolutely not. In the same year that I had to talk about Jack and Jill, this is far from one of the worst movies ever. But that said, it's not a good movie. This is definitely Eddie Murphy at one of his weaker points in his career. Like, oh god. So yeah, there you go. It's Meet Dave sucks. Plain and simple. Meet Dave sucks. Tune in next time though, when I'm going to talk about a movie that Eddie Murphy is in that I actually think is pretty good and a bit underrated. You'll see next time, but next video is going to be a review of the movie Tower Heist from 2011. And yeah, I'll see you guys then.